Devin Koepke on the left.
Versus Captain America.
Versus Captain America with awesome sideburns on the right. That's Tim Wilson. We've had him on camera a little bit earlier. We actually talked about his sideburns because they're so awesome a little bit earlier. Stay with us, because after this game, we'll be giving away 3 months of premium. AJ will be asking a trivia question. AJ, are you ready for that trivia question?
You will be by the time I have to ask it.
You will be by the time we have to ask it. So AJ will be asking a trivia question that you guys will have to answer. And we'll give away 3 months of premiums. We see both players shake here. They've got their opening hands ready. They're waiting for the green light from us. They've got it, and we are underway here. Quarterfinals, 13 Games Open Series, Legacy in Kansas City.
The Cabal Therapy on the play doesn't happen often, but when you exchange deck list in the top 8, it's a lot easier to do.
Yeah, pick a card, any card. As we see, Tim is going to name Entomb.
Very solid name.
You know, the best card over there. And you see 2 copies of Thoughtseize, an Exhume, an Iona Shield of Emeria, a Daze, and a Reanimate. So a pretty good hand.
Yeah, Thoughtseize is player, so we could just see Thoughtseize myself, reanimate it.
And we have seen that before. I know that Jacob Corey, when we were covering him in Vegas, when he was playing Tin Fins. I was getting complicated.
Yes.
Tin Fins actually targeted himself to put Gristlebrand in the graveyard, reanimated it, and killed his opponent on turn 2. So it's a play that's becoming a little bit more common now, and I think that's what we might see here to start the show.
Absolutely. If he drew a land, he may start with a Thoughtseize on his opponent. If he didn't, then he has to Thoughtseize himself now so that he can reanimate next turn, and it looks like he did not. And it's, oh, he did draw land, but is still going to do it on himself. He's going to save some life, is what it is.
Yep.
He's going to use an Entomb rather than the reanimate, or I'm sorry, the Exhume rather than the reanimate, so he doesn't have to take 9?
Yeah, as it is rather unlikely. It is rather unlikely that he needs to daze anything here, as you are going to see a Veteran Explorer here from Tim. So Tim can actually, sacrifice that to Cabal Therapy, name a card, and push his advantage a little bit, his mana advantage, that is.
This is the card of the deck, right? Veteran Explorer.
Yeah, this is the one that brings it all together. We'll bring it up on the screen for you guys so you can see exactly what it does. As you see, Koepke is going to daze that, and Tim is going to respond by sacrificing his Verdant Catacombs, search for a land, and is going to pay for that. When this isn't put into a graveyard from the battlefield, and obviously this works very well with Cabal Therapy, both players can search up 2 basic lands and put them into play, and what you will notice, AJ, is that they do come into play untapped.
Very interesting.
So he's happy to pay, and Tim is going to name a card here.
Well, they search first.
Of course, of course.
And we did see Devin having a varied reanimation suit in his hand. You can't name Exhume and reanimate. So the question is, does Tim Wilson have the follow-up? Does he have an additional discard spell? He names reanimate.
Well, that makes me think he does have additional follow-up spell then. And we see him tapping a black mana.
Tapped.
And that's a Cabal Therapy.
Wow, that is really, really exactly what Tim Wilson needs.
Oh. So you see Devin's hand has been stripped completely outside of the Cabal Therapy of his own. He has 2 lands in his hand, and of course he has plenty of redraws, and Tim does have... The thing about Tim is, even though he has shredded Devin's hand, he doesn't have anything to punish him, and reanimate off the top
It's a miracle! It's a miracle!
Reanimate off the top might be why Devin is undefeated this weekend.
Yeah.
He made that look real easy. He's going to put Iona directly into play. He's going to take some damage to do that, and he's going to name green with the Shield of Emeria. So no more green spells for Tim Wilson. That means that Broodmate Dragon, that Pernicious Deed, along with any other green spells he draws, AJ, cannot be cast.
I mean, it would have been a little difficult to Pernicious Deed the Iona away anyway, but indeed, no more green spells for Tim Wilson, at least until he can answer this Iona, which, looking at the deck list, does not seem possible in game 1. Oh. Abrupt Decay, does that kill an Iona?
No.
It's uncastable and doesn't kill it.
Yes. There are many reasons that it doesn't kill it.
What about Maelstrom Pulse? That actually does, if you could cast it.
Which you cannot.
Pernicious Deed, not going to do it. Punishing Fire, it would take a lot of fire. A lot of fire.
Quite the punishment it would take to get that done. As that's a card that he did draw for the turn, and we see Devin's going to untap. He's going to draw. In we go. Lotus Petal is the draw for the turn. Animate Dead and Thoughtseize in Devin's hand, as Tim is looking at one more turn for this particular game. Draws a Deathrite Shaman. Can't cast that one either, as it is green, and we're going to see a concession. So Devin Koepke, able to peel a reanimation spell in the form of Reanimate to bring back Iona's Shield of Emeria, rolls up his sleeves as he's feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely made that look easy. Looking at the deck list, I mean, he had 3 more Reanimates and 3 more Exhumes, 2 Animate Deads, as well as 4 Careful Study and 4 Brainstorm as redraws.
Yeah, then one of the things, of course, as we're going to cut back to the screen here, is as I was trying to elaborate before he did peel and reanimate, is that even though his hand was shredded, it's very difficult for Tim to actually kill the opponent and take advantage of that.
Yeah.
You know, shredding the hand is great, but when your follow-up is a 6-mana Broodmage Dragon.
Yeah, it's 5th land go.
Yeah.
Hope to draw a 6th land and Broodmate,
Yeah.
or like Deed.
Yeah, you know, that's just not... His clock needs to be quick. He needs to shred the hand and close out the game.
Yeah.
And that's not something that Nick Fit is really very capable of doing. So, we're going to go to trivia time first, and we'll analyze the sideboard second. Of course, how to play trivia very easily is we are going to ask you guys a question. You guys are going to submit the answer with the hashtag of SCG Premium over on Twitter. We will select one winner. Of course, it is about accuracy, not speed. And from one of those winners, we will give away 3 months of premium. And Mr. Soccer, take it away.
Well, we are in day 2 of this tournament.
Yes, we are.
It is the legacy portion. The standard portion finished up this morning.
Yes.
And I want to know what deck won the tournament.
Ooh.
What deck championed our standard open
What deck won the Standard Open?
here in Kansas City?
All right, that's a little toss-up. Pretty easy, but I like it. I like the approach that you took there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll explain why I asked that question as we do the answer.
Okay, fair enough. He's got a method behind his madness, believe it or not. Most times I feel like he doesn't.
It's kind of trolly.
But this time, but this time I feel like he does. So that's kind of nice. As we are going to cut back over to our match right here, so you see both players sideboarded. We're going to discuss what they can bring in. I've got Tim's sideboard in front of me, and we did a little bit of breakdown at the top. When we were breaking down the brackets, Surgical Extraction, 3 copies of that are the first thing that's going to come in. 3 Red Elemental Blast can certainly come in to try to counter those show and tells that Devin does have in his sideboard. Then after that, you see 2 copies of Thoughtseize, and we see 2 copies of Slaughter Games. And obviously, Thoughtseize is going to come in, but as we saw in that game, even if you do shred your opponent's hand, if you don't have a way to close the game out, the shredding of his hand doesn't really matter all that much.
Very true. And Devin does have the show and tells, along with the City Traders to sort of ramp them out. That is sort of the go-to strategy for Reanimator decks to circumvent the graveyard entirely, right? Most of the hate that you're going to face as a Reanimator player is focused on your graveyard rather than trying to disrupt your hand or trying to disrupt the creatures once they're in play. Most of the hate is going to be targeted towards your graveyard. Show and tell, circumventing that entirely. And in this case, that would be fading the 3 Surgical Extractions, but at the same time running into the 3 Red Elemental Blasts.
Yes.
So that's going to be an interesting sort of sub game because, again, if you say you have Careful Study,
Okay.
you cast your Careful Study.
Yep.
Do you discard your creature and try and reanimate it? Do you leave it in your hand and try and show and tell it?
That's a good question.
Because you can't do both.
That is true. Believe it or not, that is accurate.
I wouldn't lie to you folks.
We appreciate that. The honesty is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Honesty is the only way. Yeah, I mean, it's a mini sub game that Devin does have to play with himself, but I don't want to imagine that we're overcomplicating things. You know, that's one of the decisions he's going to have to make, but I don't feel like there are a ton he's going to make in this matchup. It seems like it's pretty straightforward in what he can do and what he's trying to accomplish, and he just needs to figure out the best way to go about doing those things.
Absolutely. Once you have the show and tell, show and tells in your deck, it's a lot easier to protect it with straight up discard, right? Once you play a discard spell, you know their hand, you know if they have the Red Elemental Blast or what have you, and then you can show and tell.
Yeah.
The thing about the reanimation strategy is you'll often have to Careful Study pitch the creature and then reanimate on a later turn, or entomb and then reanimate, and it's a lot harder to make sure that they don't have the surgical or what have you before that. So show and tell, in addition to circumventing the graveyard, is also a little easier to sort of do in one step.
Sure. As we do see Devin just taking a look again, wants to make sure that he's sure of himself here. I think Tim, in all honesty, knows that he's in a pretty tough spot. He's got a pretty difficult matchup. He's got some marginal cards to sideboard in. Devin has ways to trump those cards. Speaking of the interaction between Surgical Extraction and Show and Tell. And, you know, the thing is, he does have to board in cards like Red Elemental Blast, which are pretty narrow in their usage. Same with Slaughtering and same with Thoughtseize, because he has so many cards that are so poor here that he has to board out those poor cards, board in those quote-unquote better cards, and hope to get a little bit fortunate, I think.
I agree. Another big interaction that comes up quite a lot in Legacy, particularly in matchups like these, is the discard versus brainstorm. And there's some interesting twists. with Tim Wilson's post-sideboard configuration, he can either follow up a discard spell with a Red Elemental Blast on the Brainstorm to make sure his discard spell hits.
Yep.
Or he can let the Brainstorm resolve, let the discard spell resolve, make sure, Devin doesn't have a counter or whatever, and then Surgical Extraction anything.
Sure.
Shuffling away the 2 cards that Devin tried to hide from him.
As you do see, Tim is going to take a mulligan down to 6 here. Devin's going to take a look at his 7 cards, analyze these, and decide if he wants to keep or go down to 6 as well.
Punishing Nick Fit is going to have to, as you said, draw specific cards in a proper series. So Tim Wilson, likely aggressively mulliganing towards that hate. Devin Koepke, on the other hand, likely maybe somewhat willing to mulligan fairly liberally. Less because he needs a specific combination of cards, and more because it takes him less cards to win.
Sure.
So he can take a redraw towards a more powerful opening, rather than, play a slower game with a mediocre hand. The card lost, not as big of a deal.
So, Devin looks happy. Tim is going to lay out 6 cards here.
A furrowed brow, a shake of the head, and a keep.
All right. Grove of the Burned Willows into Sensei's Dividing Top, and you can see Devin doesn't really seem to mind all that much, and just passes the turn back.
You see a pair of Surgical Extractions for Tim Wilson this game, so Devin would love to be on the show and tell plan. He's got a couple of Lotus Petals and a City of Traders, so
we saw a Brainstorm in there too.
Ooh la la!
Yeah.
I like.
Of course you do.
He has, I believe it's an Exhume, which it's going to be quite a while before he's going to be able to safely do that against a pair of Surgical Extractions.
The thing that's nice for Devin here is that the opening hands that he can keep, his range is pretty wide. Again, because Tim doesn't actually, for lack of a better term, punish you for keeping a poor opening hand, or at least a slow one, because again, his deck does take a little while to get things started.
Yeah, it doesn't have the fastest clock, it doesn't put on a lot of pressure, it doesn't have a lot of mid-game inevitability, where it can sort of close the door on combo decks, such as Counterbalance Top. It doesn't have anything like that. And here we see a Cabal Therapy, which, with Brainstorm in hand, is a cute little sub-game.
Now, the thing here with Brainstorm against Cabal Therapy is, I think if you have a Brainstorm in your hand and you know your opponent has Cabal Therapy, and you have to make the decision before you even play your land about what you're going to do if your opponent does Cabal Therapy you. By thinking this long, it's pretty clear that I think you're giving away that you do have Brainstorm in your hand, but he is going to take Exhume. If my opponent, Cabal Therapies me, I just want to say immediately, yes, that's fine.
Either snap yes, or you have to cast the Brainstorm.
Correct. Correct.
But here we see Tim Wilson not picking up on that little tell from Devin, and also naming Exhume rather than, say, Show and Tell.
A little surprised by that as well.
The reason that is surprising to us, ladies and gentlemen, is he has 2 Surgical Extractions.
Yep.
The reanimation plan from Devin, not as threatening as the Show and Tell. Say here, Devin did have the Show and Tell.
Well, he's going to try to find one here. So he does have a City of Traders in his hand and Lotus Petal, and we know he has 2 copies of Gristlebrand, so looks like we're going to see a main phase Brainstorm, and if he is able to find Show and Tell, we're going to see a turn 2 Show and Tell putting Gristlebrand into play. And that's what it looks like he's going to try to go for. So we're going to see a Brainstorm here.
Force.
Reanimate.
Was that a reanimate?
That was.
All right. So Tim Wilson, still alive. His hand, a redundant Sensei's Divining Top and the 2 Surgical Extractions. Really just digging for what? Action in the form of maybe Veteran Explorer?
I mean, anything to just kind of accelerate the game, I would think.
Yeah.
Start to get to those large threats that actually can do something. Unfortunately for him, we know that Devin does have Force of Will to actually be able to counter one of those big threats. But I think that, I do think that you see Thoughtseize, Forest, Swamp for the Sensei's Divining Top, that those, that a card like Veteran Explorer right now is super important.
Yes. Thoughtseize, not too bad. Obviously, 2 basic lands, not what Tim wants to see, but between the Thoughtseize here, the Therapy actually hitting, the Blind Therapy hitting was quite nice, and the 2 Surgicals, it looks like Tim's going to be able to buy a little more time and sort of set things up.
He could delay the inevitable
Yes.
and hopefully make it so that the inevitable never occurs.
That would make it not very inevitable.
You see what I did there?
English is hard.
It's incredibly difficult language.
Yeah.
As we do see thoughts.
Devin. All right, yeah, you got my Griselbrand.
Griselbrand, right? That's the one.
Right, dude? That's what you want? Well, he used the therapy on Exhume.
Makes you think. You know, if he's going to use the therapy on Exhume, you basically want to just keep tagging those reanimation
Yeah,
spells, right?
it follows logically that he would take the reanimate here. Yep, and that's
there
what he
it goes. And Devin is going to sacrifice that blue to Delta, sacrificing to clear out that brainstorm, of course.
Yes, which I believe was just 2 more lands that he didn't want. Or it was a land and a Lotus Petal. Get rid of those. Get a fresh one off the top, because he is digging. Devin, looking for a show and tell. Tim, only a Sensei's Divine Top to put into play. Not the most powerful.
What are you trying to say about Sensei's Divine Top?
There it is.
Okay.
So how is he XO? It's another miracle for Devin Koepke. The show and tell with force backup, the unnecessary force backup.
Yeah, unnecessary.
And it's actually, Devin was joking about the Griselbrand, but if Tim took the Griselbrand, he might even just like win this game because you know he could surgical it at any point twice, through the force of will.
Yeah.
But instead, Devin gets a 7/7 Yawgmoth's Bargain impression, impersonating,
lifelink, whatever.
But yeah, better.
No big.
You know, easier to get in play and lifelinks and kills the opponent directly.
And Tim is going to show us those 3 cards off of his Sensei's Divine Top of Forest, Mountain, Swamp. They're beautiful.
They are, and now he can cast his Sprouting Thrinax. I lost myself a little. Where are we?
That's right, we're back. And Griselbrand is now submerged for Devin. Here comes Santa Claus. Here comes Santa Claus.
Daddy's home. Knocks Tim down to 10, and Devin up to 25. That's a lot of cards.
That's a lot of everything, honestly. And you can see Devin feeling pretty confident right now. Pretty hard not to.
Yep.
Griselbrand in play attacking, sitting at 25 life. Devin just thinking to myself, how could I possibly lose? Griselbrand going to draw Devin 7 new cards, get him some options.
I can tell you how he could lose. He Griselbrands and draws 8.
That the only way?
It's feeling
like it. As you see, he's going to figure out what cards he wants to keep. They're going to involve Force of Wills. He's going to play Lotus Petals because he doesn't want to discard those. Yeah.
As we say, Mize.
Yeah, in the business.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a couple lands in his hand as well. No reason to play land, of course. City of Traders would die. And he's happy to discard 2 blue to Deltas and just pass the turn back. And if anything does go crazy, he can just Force of Will that stuff. He's using Scavenging Ooze a little bit late to the party, but again, Show and Tell does not care about Scavenging Ooze.
I mean, we talked about, you have Red Elemental Blast for the Show and Tell plan, you have Surgicals for the Reanimation plan. Tim had Surgicals and got Show and Tell.
Yep.
Oops.
That's what makes Reanimator so deadly.
Absolutely. So many different angles, so resilient. It has counters and discard of its own.
So you see Brainstorm is the draw here for Devin, and Devin could have certainly Force of Willed that Scavenging Ooze. You could certainly make an argument for that, but no reason to do that, as he's just going to let Griselbrand take me home to Paradise City.
We're in Kansas City.
Where the grass is green and Force of Wills are pretty.
And
Submerge
and
says,
many
take me home. Yeah. Submerge on Scavenging Ooze is going to put that upstairs. It's probably the reason he didn't Force of Will. A little time walk action. Upstairs that goes. Got the draw step completely controlled here, and we are going to see, after this careful study, actually after this brainstorm, I think we're going to see Devin Koepke keep his train rolling.
The train where he can't possibly ever lose to anything?
That's the choo-choo train he's on.
Okay. Just making sure that was the train you were talking about.
Good seats on that train. Comfortable? Tim is going to untap. He's going to draw here. Scavenging Ooze, that's you. You're back for more. And it is back in play.
Ha!
We'll draw a card with top. It is a mountain.
Tim, you know, you made top 8, milking the
Hey, you
the
can't
camera
blame
time.
You can't blame him. If you're here, you're here. Red Elemental Blast.
Now that one is late to the party.
Yes.
But Devin had the force. There was just no chance in this game.
It's like when you get to the party, like all the windows are already broken and like everything's like just
What
pushed
parties
over.
do you go to?
Party where Gristlebrand is. And he just breaks everything.
Well, he's definitely breaking.
That's where I hang out.
He's definitely broken. I'll tell you that
Carpet
much.
stains, glasses just destroyed.
Spills everywhere. There's like blood on the wall.
Yeah.
Whose blood is that?
Yeah,
we don't know.
what's going on?
Yeah. Dude, you go to some weird parties.
I lead an interesting life. So you do see surgical
Well,
extraction.
your deck's really good. Can I see it?
Yeah. Yeah. Tim, you know, it's obviously a very bad matchup. He's gonna take care of the Fluid Deltas. He's gonna milk it for all it's worth, my friends.
He does have another surgical extraction as well, so we may see.
I would say this could be the Magic Online print
Dude,
screen.
You
here.
know what would be awesome is if like he lets Devin shuffle, you know, cut and everything, casts the next surgical, searches all the cards out, makes Devin shuffle and present again. Yep, he is. Look, he's looking for a surgical
It's
target.
all about you got to get your value.
Yeah, this is awesome.
You have to show.
Attack you. Yes.
It's not. Yeah. It's not about winning. It's about sending a message.
Oh man. It's not like we have other matches we could be watching.
Give
or
me
anything.
those brainstorms now.
That card's
Alright.
way too good.
I'm gonna use all of my cards against you before I shake your hand, Mr. Koepke. Can't fault, man.
No, I mean, get those out of there. Yeah, you can shuffle and present again. Do you have any effects before blockers? No. All right. Oh, look at the hand, Devin.
And a high five. So Devin Koepke does win 2-0 over Tim Wilson in a very, very good matchup for Devin there.
Couple miracles in an already fairly lopsided matchup.
Hey, you draw a card every turn.
Yeah, that's why he puts them in the deck.
That's the rules of Magic. He puts the cards in them he puts the cards in his deck to draw them. So Devin Koepke going to be playing the winner of the Stephen Medanik playing Elves with Nick Carlson playing Esper Stoneblade matchup. Quick update as well.